What is up guys, Aegis Rick here, and if you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm going to be doing a ton of guide content like this one, as well as PvE and PvP down the line, so if you're interested, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Anyway, now that that's out of the way guys, we're going to be doing a quick video encompassing all of the changes that I've seen with the game from memory with my experience from NA-DFO and even DFO Global Alpha. Since then, the game has changed dramatically, and I would even go so far as to call the current beta DFOG as Dungeon Fighter Online 2 because of the surprising amount of changes since those times. Just remember that a lot of the things I'm mentioning do come from memory, and I may not cover every single change. Please alert us all in the comments with changes you noticed as well. But without further ado, let's step into the new world of AR-DFOGUIDE. First, I guess I should mention there are servers in DFOG, NA East and NA West. It's important to choose the correct server for your region because once a character is made on that server, you cannot transfer it over. Oddly enough though, character names still must not be identical between the two servers. This is because while doing regular dungeons in AR-DFOGUIDE, PvP however is not restricted by region, and you can still fight anybody in the PvP arena regardless of your guys' regions. Moving on from there, standard channels are visible, but quickly you can see a new animated type of character creation screen, Slick. Two new characters have been added to the game that have never been seen before, the Creator and the Dark Knight, both of which have their own gimmicks to them that make them play nothing like the other characters. You can see some of the videos I've already uploaded to see how both of those guys play. Once you get into the game, you may notice that the tutorial instance, depending on your character, is slightly different. In fact, it is very different. You save Siri Kierman and are transported to a very familiar room. There are current events going on for OBT, so make sure to pick up all of those quests. Inside this little save room with Syria, there is a new NPC named Runa. She functions as quite literally a secretary and also has her own clipboard button here. Upon talking to Runa, she will remind you of things you should do for your character. Maybe you have some skill points that you have not used up yet, or maybe you're currently wearing a piece of equipment that is not designed for your subclass. She will attempt to set you straight and remind you of these things to do, which is always helpful and welcome in my book. An excellent feature. This D button here will alert you on premium and or time duration items that you have in your inventory and safe, further serving as a reminder to use those items before they expire out of your inventory. During the weekend, there is another buff you can see here called your weekend bonus. You get an extra 20 fatigue points during this weekend, as well as an extra 20% increased mob kill EXP, which is definitely helpful for when you are most certainly going to be dungeoning all weekend long. This E is currently listing all of the events that are occurring right now, and often, as you guys can see, the other buttons here will be appropriate buttons for current events going on. If you press escape, we have a new menu selection window that is quite self-explanatory. I really enjoy this very condensed and useful type of menu that has everything right there available for us, and it is rather convenient. But whew guys, I think we've covered most everything about the UI. Let's take a step outside, shall we? What? What? What the fuck? Yeah guys, I don't know what to tell you. I pretty much was shocked at the new AR-DFOGUIDE when seeing it for the first time. I honestly thought that I was just in a new tutorial zone and I was just gonna be here temporarily before moving back to the AR-DFOGUIDE I knew and loved. How naive I was. See, you remember this cutscene in the tutorial instance? I hope you didn't skip it. And you remember this explosion? You see this town getting evaporated and everything getting nuked? Yeah. That happened, and the AR-DFOGUIDE we once knew was pretty much destroyed in an event called the Metastasis, and so quite literally the world of DFO has gone over much more than just a revamp. It's almost like a redo. Now you can see why I labeled this game as DFO 2, huh? Anyway guys, I don't want to spoil the story elements because this still is a continuation, but suffice to say the town is different, and every single dungeon is as well, usually featuring a specific theme to go with it, and is rather enjoyable and fresh to start anew. Just a few things I want to mention about the towns and questings. You'll notice that the game is much more organized and linear when it comes to questing. All the quests that you need will be located at most a few rooms from the dungeon entrance, and so unlike in old DFO, there will be no need to travel back and forth like before when we'd had to go through Hendonmere and maybe the West Coast and vice versa. All the NPCs required for the job trainers is located here. All the NPCs for the professions up here, and pretty much everyone else is standing around to give you quests near the dungeon gates, a much more streamlined approach. Some things are slightly different though. For instance, I noticed that the clear cube fragments play a much more significant role than before. On top of being necessary for higher level skills like before, they are also being used for weapon and armor enhancements from Kiri. They've forgone the Ryan Coax item that used to be necessary for enhancing, and now, as you guys can see, requires clear cube fragments instead. The PvP room, which we will be looking at once I finally get to making my Azura, also is slightly different and can be accessed by this new NPC here, and or pressing the P button. For now in open beta, the practice arena is the only one available however, and while the map itself looks different, it still functions more or less the same as before. Like I said, I don't want to spoil too much of this new world because I feel as though it is so new, it must be experienced on your own from start to finish. But there are still a few changes I have left to talk about, and that is in dungeon. But first, before that, I just want to mention one of the most hype changes to the gameplay comes from the skill window. First and foremost, and yes, this was confirmed, you get free skill resets at any point in time. I am not kidding. You do not have to pay for this feature anymore. It's fucking sick. You can get any skill you want without worry that you screwed up your build. Level up skills, hell, even D-level skills, and forget them altogether. It makes classes such as Exorcist and Crusader, who have two possible build paths, much more fun, because if you're ever feeling bored of one type, you can always switch to another. Not to mention, free skill resets! Also, and I don't ever remember this being a feature, so I thought I should mention it, this button here labeled conversion will take any of the skills that served as your beginner job skills, for instance, Slayer, Priest, Fighter, etc., and convert that skill's damage to either physical or magical if you so choose. So for instance, Wave Wheel Slasher is the grab for Slayer and typically only does magic damage. Well, now if you turn the conversion to physical, it will now do, you guessed it, physical type damage for those of you who are playing Berserker and Weapon Master and still want to use this skill. It's an excellent change if I do say so myself. Just remember this only applies to the basic skills, that is, the skills you get up to and including level 15 for your base class. In dungeon, I guess the only real change to gameplay as far as I remember is that they got rid of the HP and MP fairies and instead replaced them with these auras that grant you various effects, such as but not limited to HP and MP recoveries, faster move cast and attack speed, and changing your weapon's elemental attributes, so look out for those, you can't miss them. One last thing I guess we can talk about is this cool little DPS analysis window that Martin showed me. This looks pretty sick. You can keep track of what skills you use most often, its average damage when used, and even have this cool DPS meter to keep track of it in real time. Most certainly this will be useful when you get more skills and are trying to determine your ideal build and which one does the most damage. But anyway guys, I've been ranting for a while now. There are probably a lot more changes that I haven't mentioned or that I have missed, so make sure to let me know in the comments below and you might help someone else out. But anyway guys, thanks for watching and I will catch you guys later.